Hey, welcome. We are me versus we. Michael Schultz and I, Katie Shasky, are here to blow your fucking brains out. We have our polarity in the Aries Libra axis, which makes our podcast unique. Why? Because we have the perspective of me versus we. So we have the us and them all wrapped up in our podcast. We have credentials of peace, and we'll get into that. So, Michael, tell me about you, why we should listen to you, what makes you an outstanding Libra, and so on.
Well, is there such a thing as an outstanding Libra? This might be the first question to answer, but I do pretty well for myself. Right now, I am the main admin, the godman of an astrology group online called Astrology Shipposting Only, which has grown to about 20,000 members over the past couple years. I run a pretty successful astrology page where I used to just post memes and whatever came to my mind, but I've kind of upgraded that in the recent past, and I've been getting a little bit deeper into astrology and deeper into the archetypes, and that has been a very fun journey. I read tarot. I'm deeply connected with astrology as a pattern language, and I've done a lot of other things in my life too, but that's my credentials for this. I would say. What are yours, Katie?
I dig it. I dig it. And I really love what you've done with community. I admire that a lot. Like I have as a 11th house sun with stellium and Aries, and I have Black Moon Lilith in here as well. I love community, admire community, but I also often found myself on the outskirts of it more often than not, just being myself, accidentally being a rebel. So it's nice to be a part of your community and also explore this side of myself that is naturally offensive, and be able to use that in a humorous way, which I love about shit posting. So as far as my bio, my credentials, whatever have you, I've been studying astrology since, I would say, I have found my first flashcards for studying astrology from 2004, but I'm sure my interest started when I was 5 years old. My dad was in AA at the time. We were all sitting around the table, and this dude named JJ comes up and asks everybody what their sun sign was. And it was a big Cancerian party. Everybody's a summer baby, and he gets to me, and I'm the youngest. I'm 4 or 5 years old, little. And I said, I'm an Aries, and he goes, oh. It was like, you like Cancer, and then it's Aries. Oh. And that started my life's exploration to find out why, about Aries. And, gradually I understood. And then I found out that I was a double Gemini behind that. So I've spent a lifelong interest in astrology, mainly to find out why I'm the asshole.
I mean, Aries is kind of the asshole sometimes. It's true.
We have a way of polarizing. It doesn't really matter how you slice my chart. I'm a very polarizing energy as it is. So it doesn't get any better when you look into my human design. I have all centers defined. So it makes me very forceful accidentally. I don't get influenced very easily. So as far as that's concerned, it's a long-term studying, life love of it. I've been unschooled, homeschooled my entire life. So I have a way of teaching myself everything. I've been doing tarot for just about as long. In 2005, I got my first deck. I've been a minister for 7 years now. And, I've been doing this professionally as far as reading cards and tarot, and being a spiritual advisor since 2018. So I feel like I've been doing this as a lifestyle. First with myself, of course, because I'm me. All right. All my spiritual focus has everything to do with me and my selfishness. This includes my worldview. This includes how I view politics. This includes how I look at some of the rest of the subjects that we're coming through. So you'll see how selfish I am. This is part of my credentials. So my experience, I'm a former missionary. I was Christian for a really long time, and I form a lot of my opinions or anti-opinions based on these things. So I love to argue. Arguing is one of my favorite things in the world. So let's get fucking to it. I'm looking forward to arguing with you, Michael.
Oh, it's going to be so fun. I want to go a little bit. You kind of inspired me to go a little bit deeper into my chart and
Of
also
course,
my
do it.
history. So I
Yeah,
was
please.
also raised religious, and when I was younger, I was kind of told that astrology and tarot were of the devil. Um, but also, my grandma had like the Star magazines and the Enquirers, and she had like dishes that had the zodiac
Those were
signs
so
on it.
great.
They
I loved those.
It was very cool. And I used to like read those all the time. And she was a Gemini with a Capricorn moon, which I found out later. And I would eat candy over there and read her trashy magazines. And I learned that I was a Libra at that point. And I didn't get that much deeper into it until I got to college, where I
There
was
you go.
actually studying to be a youth minister in the church.
What?
For real.
I
Um,
love that. Bad.
And I ended up dating this Cancer, and there was this breakdown of how she gave me a book called The Only Astrology Book You'll Ever Need. And in that book, it said how the Cancer Libra relationship tends to break down. And it broke down exactly that way. And I was like, wait a minute, maybe there's something to this. And that
Mm.
uh, really inspired my obsessive Scorpio placements, because I have four of them. And I started diving into it. And that was around 1999, I believe, right around the cusp of the
Sheesh.
millennium. So I've been, ass deep in it since then, and I've been really enjoying learning more about it. And I used to be the guy at parties that would ask people their signs and then expound on it. And I worked for a lot of nonprofits, and I used to give them the emotional weather updates, which I still kind of do through my
Used to
page
do.
now. Yeah, I used to do that when we were out canvassing. I'd be like, so it's an Aries moon, so you got to be direct and forceful when you're talking to people at the door, or it's a Scorpio moon, so um, use these tricks. So I would just tell
Yeah,
people like what the energy of the day was going to be and how they could be successful. And I developed kind of leadership qualities during those periods, and I've kind of kept a lot of those experiences with me. And there's a plane going over, but I don't care
I don't
because
hear it. I can't pick it
that's
up on your
reality.
mic. It's all
Perfect.
good. So, as
Um,
far as your Libra and Scorpio are concerned, this is proof that manipulation is not necessarily evil. It's all in how you use it. It's just a tool, right?
I mean, people have to be, they have to kind of consent to a
True.
certain extent to be manipulated. I feel like they have to want something um, to be manipulated. So I don't use it for evil,
Of course not.
often, often.
Often.
Um, but I do try to, I mean, Libra is selfish too. This is what people, Libras don't want to tell you. We're selfish too. We just go about getting our selfish needs met through
Mm,
other people. So it is, there's a dichotomy between Aries and Libra. They're
it's
opposite
funny.
signs of the zodiac. So we both have selfish motives. We just go about getting them fulfilled in different ways, in my opinion.
It's true. I've noticed that the Libra secret weapon, instead of being direct like I would, even though I'm a Mercury retrograde in Aries, I'm still really direct, like autistically direct and very literal at times. But Libra, it'll be like, well, I don't know. And that's like their biggest secret weapon is like, I don't know. And then they're like, but they'll silently move towards a direction while telling you they don't know. And that gives you the invitation to create your own narrative. And I love that style though. I
It's
appreciate like you're gonna do whatever the fuck you want to do, but you're gonna be like so smooth about it, like, I don't know.
it's like
I don't know what's happening.
I do usually know what's happening.
It's just something you say to mollify
Usually
the masses.
it is true. I do work with the masses a lot, and they are like, it is like herding cats. I've always worked with like liberals or astrologers. So it's like you've got to learn to move them towards your direction softly,
Yeah,
and you've got to learn to lure rather than force. Otherwise, they get their back up, and you end up it's like pushing against a Taurus. You're just going to tire yourself out, and you're not going to get much done. So the only
Yeah, good metaphor.
yeah.
When it comes to the way you've created the community for ASO and the variations, I really do love the aspect of free speech to an extent, of course, without causing legal harm to anybody or psychological harm to anybody. I do love the aspect of the way your particular vision works as far as for the giant community a whole, because you can use astrology, your knowledge, you like that's part of the fun of it in astrology shit posting only. You have to know astrology well enough to start lampooning it and like having what's the word, good satire, really.
Yes. One of the things that we started doing when we started the new group, because we did have a group crash and burn. It was called Astrology Shitposting Inc. And when we started the new one, we were like, what if we just time all the things we're trying to do with the seasons, with the moon? I bet that would work better. And it has. So
Mm-hmm.
we get less crash outs. There's still crash outs. I
Oh
mean,
my God, yeah.
it is an amazing level of crash outs that actually happens in the group. But comparatively to the last group, we've made huge strides forward, and we look forward to continuing to stride forward and connect people to the cycles and the seasons as we go. And we're going to teach astrology basically to people on a subconscious level, which is probably my Scorpio talking, but I'm pretty sure it's working.
Well, it's really important too. Don't you have Uranus in Scorpio as well, if I remember correctly?
I have a
Am I
tight
wrong?
I have a tight Uranus moon conjunction in Scorpio,
Okay.
and then a pretty tight
Yeah.
Mercury Pluto conjunction in Libra, and
Yeah.
they're
There you
all in the
go.
seventh house. So that's
This
related to
provides,
others.
see, that's what I love about it, is it with that type of innovation energy in Scorpio with your feelings, you're very intuitive about shadow work and providing conditions for it to happen, regardless whether or not it's full of shit or not. Like the crash outs are really epic though. It's
They
kind of
are,
artful.
I- at least, even if people don't grow, at least the masses will be entertained. Is kind of the basic
You
theme
know, the
that
way
I
I
go
see
with.
it, the triggers themselves can be healing if they're willing to sit with it long enough. And the ones that crash out early on when they first join the group and then kind of get hazed and then stick around, they really start to see how it works for them, and their personalities will do a 180. And I love watching that pretty much every time, is um seeing truth be told so bare. It's like talking to a whole 20,000 group full of like varying shades of Kanye, you know.
The Gemini avatar of our time in some ways.
Yeah.
Kanye, Trump, and Jordan Peterson. I used to think of the evil Gemini triumvirate. Um, Although
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call them evil, but I would say that evil is projected on them quite a bit. Um, and I love that aspect of shadow work where you kind of show mirrors to people of where they're unhealed, and
Yeah.
kind of and they're going to crash out over it because you can't go through shadow work without some pain. There is no way when something that's unconscious to you gets reflected back at you that you're not going to go through some trials and tribulation. That's part of the process of shadow work. It's not a fun process, it's not a joyful process, and it's something that, if you stay committed to it and you try to, instead of projecting it out on others, if you keep focused inwards, you can do a lot of good things with it. So um yeah, it's that's the interesting part in the group, is a lot of shadow material comes up, and most of the time people will project it out.
Huh.
But every once in a while you'll see the process happen, and I think it's amazing.
It's
And
like
I think
watching detox happen in real time, but with emotions and mentality. It's like, oh, the mindset of grit kicks in. It's like, oh, I wasn't in a survival fight or flight moment. I was just being, made aware of a trigger. I feel silly now. Like I love watching that process.
that is like probably one of the primary goals of the group. The primary goals of the group are to teach people astrology as a pattern language, which is how I see it. It's a
Mm,
language of patterns,
yes,
and you start connecting to the patterns and the archetypes that are associated with the patterns. And it's a way to understand not only the present, but it's a way to understand history. It's a way to understand what's coming, um, because you understand the cycles and the archetypal energy that's associated with it. And that's kind of how I write about it. Um, and
which
I think
I love that you use that outwardly for politics and worldviews and shit in ways that I don't, my brain does not work that direction. I'm always using it for how does my context fit into life? Why does my life make sense? What am I doing with it? Like, how does this affect that? Like, so it's always very, uh, my net is so much smaller. Like, it's very not Sagittarian.
it's like, how can I better myself so that I can
Yeah,
become more powerful? And yeah, I mean, that is a very Aries thing, is to develop the ego, basically. Like, that's like the main goal, supposedly,
it's
archetypally, of Aries is to develop the ego
my
through
whole point of
experience.
view. If it is like I'm very stuck on the point of view where, like, if you don't do your shadow work, if you're not right within, how are you going to be a good member of any society or community? So that is like, in a way, that's how my malefic 11th house sun, being, Aries, Martian. I have a lot of placements in Aries, and then the double Gemini, and then I have Mars in Taurus opposite Pluto and Scorpio. I can be savage. I can be. And I think the best leaders wind up being people who have met their monster and have learned how to cultivate a personality outside of that, finding ways to hold onto that monster and not bleed on the wrong person, but to actually start standing up and using those blowouts constructively to make changes in society. You have to become what you want to see in this world, and in a lot of ways, that's part of my rebellion with my 11th and my trine to Uranus with, Venus and Mercury. Like I need to be so focused on myself that I am a creature of revolution in and of herself, so that therefore I am a pioneer in that way. And so I'm doing new things, and people aren't going to understand what my journey is, because I'm doing something new. That's how I look at it. So very, very me oriented. um I don't watch the news. I really don't. And I know that's a privilege. I'm not unaware of world things, but at the same time, my awareness of it doesn't change the situation. But what does change a situation is whether or not I am a strong human being on the inside and taking care of the people that need me.
That makes nothing but sense to me. I mean, I have a large Mars imprint, the malefic Mars,
Mm,
um, because it's my chart ruler. I have Aries rising,
yeah.
so Mars is my chart ruler. So I do love to mix it up. I don't mind getting savage every once in a while, and I think people often enjoy it when I am,
Yeah,
because
you do it well.
my but I there is that peaceful part of me that would rather, things kind of go along smoothly. Um, but Mars, being my chart ruler, and Mars being in Scorpio in the seventh, I kind of have to um, deal with that inner monster, make sure that I'm not projecting it on others, and, well, if I am, being conscious that that's what I was doing. Um, and it really makes me learn through how other people are doing things. I gain most of my wisdom through um, my perception of others, and it's
Mm,
it's interesting. And like, you have the sun in Aries, which is actually the exalted position. I have the sun in Libra, which is the fall position. And the reason it's the fall is because it's hard to be yourself when you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly focused on others, right? Whereas it's easy to be yourself if that is your main focus. Like that's the difference between Aries and Libra. But we both want to get things done in the world, right? We both want to drive out and make
For
things
sure.
happen.
And you're not
So
going to be very successful if like try to cut swaths and be a pioneer at all times. And you have to stand on the shoulders of giants at times to make real progress. You have to admit that you might have something to learn from somebody else along the way. And that's a big caveat with Aries is thinking you know it all and being a huge novice and being too full of yourself to stop and ask for directions.
that is true. And like I've met like tons of Aries people in my life, and I think that the the thing that I've noticed more with male Aries than women Aries for some reason is the lack of self-reflection of how their ego affects other people
Mm,
around them, right? So it's like
mhm.
Um, and that is something that I am, as a Libra, I'm always concerned about. I'm concerned about how my ego expression is going to affect other people around me. And there's something that I actually admire in Aries in not caring about that, or not being aware of that. I'm not sure if it's not caring or not awareing,
With the
but
men, I'm not sure either. I can't tell the difference either. It's not just you.
all right, that's kind of what I figured. But it is, I think it's because Aries energy expresses easier in the masculine.
Mhm.
Um, because I
There's no
think
filter. It's just straight raw nerve and zero consideration.
totally. Um, and I think it's interesting, and it's like there's like something about Leo where it's like it's more refined. The ego is more refined in Leo, and then it goes searching in the other fire sign for more wisdom and more knowledge, through Sagittarius. Um, and it's kind of like each of the elements kind of develop over the course of their triplicity, and it's
It's
cool.
true.
Um, and each of them has their own place. It's like people get, oh, this is the best, or this is the worst, or they're like, how can you even listen to somebody with like a fall sun? But the truth is, like each part of the wheel has something important to teach to others, and it has something important to learn from the world.
Well,
So
yeah.
yeah, so some people get a little bit too, what is it, like fatalistic when it comes to astrology, or they get too legalistic, when it comes to astrology, and
Yeah,
that's
that's something I know you're ranting, but I want to rant too. I
yeah.
want to add, like, I think people get stuck thinking in modalities. They get stuck thinking in seasons. They get stuck thinking, this is an all earth energy or all fire, all water, and they forget the axis medicine. They
Yes.
forget that the opposition is the same vibration. It's just another polarity. So they don't think they're all looking at the parts of their chart where they have a planetary connection or an aspect, but they're not looking at the part of their chart opposite to that. And that's a huge mistake people make. And therefore, that's how they get all legalistic and shit. It's because they're forgetting about contrast. They forget.
I think that's an interesting part of Gemini too, is Gemini is forced to deal with the polarity more than
Oh,
any other sign,
yeah,
Um, they get bounced from one pole to the other quite often. Like people
it's
with planets in Gemini, they'll be bounced from one side of the polarity to the other, and they learn from
yeah.
both poles. Libra is trying to balance both the poles. This is like it's almost like the perfection drive of Virgo, but on the mental level.
Mm.
because they're trying to balance some things that aren't very balanceable.
So
Um,
things can't be fair. It's not, that's not the
it's
way it works. It has to
yes,
be this and more. It can't be this or that. And I
yes,
think Libra glitches hard on that.
yes. It's an easy trap for Libra to get into for sure. Is sometimes you can't find the middle ground, you know. Um, or you can, but like if you find it, like you're going to find yourself very alone there in times of
Mm,
increasing polarity, which is kind of a time that we're in right now. We're in a time of increasing polarity with Uranus moving into Gemini, um, where people are being forced to understand the polarity through sudden shifts. Um, and there isn't a lot of outer planets that are supporting Libra right now, except through the trine, except through if we learn to integrate like the Pluto and
for
Aquarius
sure.
energy and
Okay,
the
so
Uranus
speaking
and
of
Gemini
that,
energy.
let's talk about disclosure and this Atlas fucking comet and shit. So this is part of this conversation between transhumanism, extraterrestrial contact, what it means to be human, consciousness, development, all this shit. So I think this goes really well with the astrology and segueing and like not only just shadow work, but what are humans in general? Like are we redefining our entire identities or just going through a reformatting in society? I think it's both.
I think it's both, and I think that the Atlas, because it's outside of our solar system. It's an interstellar comet. So it's like something that we don't have very many of these that we've noticed, at least
Hmm.
in our past. I mean, there was one in 2017, one in 2019, but they were much smaller than this one that's coming in. And this one has some weird aspects to it. And it's really kind of igniting this Pluto and Aquarius energy, which is like, what if we're not alone? And there's more and more evidence that suggests that maybe we're not alone.
Oh, I don't
And
believe, never have believed we're alone. I don't think there's ever been any evidence to speak on being alone. There's too many, even the Bible, of course, I will always reference the Bible, but it talks about the watchers and translating that it's the Gregory entities, like they are the entities that watch. And then there's others breaking this down, and there's stuff that I wrote down that I want to touch on, like as far as Nephilim and giants and things
yeah,
like that. Like I think all these things are really tied in as far as definitions of humanity. And I didn't even write this down, but Rh negative blood is really interesting to me. So I think all these things are really, really integrated. But with this Atlas thing, they're talking about it being a probe of some kind. And I'm not sure how to feel about that. What do you think?
if it is, the it would have had to have been sent so long ago.
For
That
real.
that's kind of interesting, you know. It would be like whatever society sent that as a probe, like for how long ago it was sent as a probe, has probably advanced in technology so much further than it is right now. Uh, actually, I want to sidetrack just for a second with
Yeah, please
the
do.
3-1 Atlas. What I've been noticing a ton on Facebook is really fake clickbait, which
Mm-hmm.
is purporting to show pictures of it. And it's super
Mm.
popular. So it's like, and none of the shit is true, right? So it feels like the clickbait itself is part of what amounts to a psyop. I think we're
Oh, of
getting
course. Of course.
prepared for disclosure, but I'm not sure if the disclosure is going to be real. Um, I think that my personal belief, and this is just my own personal belief, is that we are going to get kind of a false flag disclosure first. And because they want a controlled disclosure, because the elite don't want
Right.
to lose their power.
Right.
And realizing that there's beings that are well beyond human technology kind of makes our elite a little bit less impressive, I would say. Um, so I think that there is like this goal to do a controlled disclosure um, that keeps us, small. And I think that the goal of humanity should be to, as far as when Neptune is moving into Aries and Saturn is moving into Aries, our goal is to reclaim our sovereignty, to recognize that we're like individual souls and we're not like lesser.
No.
Individual souls are the most powerful thing kind of
And that's why our
in the
podcast is
universe.
important. The timing of this podcast is imperative. We need to be talking about me versus we. God damn it.
Yes. Well, you can get lost in the me, but you can also get lost in the we. Like there is this aspect of like people that kind of are focused on like ascension and like aliens coming in to solve all of our problems. And that feels like a big trap to me. It feels like a trap for sovereignty. Instead of humans like doing the thing that our natural development, if we just give up our sovereignty for ease, I think that's a real danger.
Convenience is a hell of a drug.
It is a hell of a drug. And yeah, they might have technology, but if you have to take like a mark to get a little bit biblical to utilize that, to get your space bucks or whatever that help you to, manifest the things that you want to, um, that could be a trap. And we've got to use discernment. And that's been like the thing that I've been on since Sagittarius
Well,
season.
I mean, discernment should be a theme for anybody dealing with any level of spirituality on any level, because especially once you find out you have Pisces placements, you need to practice discernment. I tell, especially with this retrograde back into Saturn and Pisces, like this is important. You need, if you haven't learned discernment now, I mean, this is really where Gucci Mane comes in at it. I mean, if a man does not have the sauce, then he is lost, but the same man can be lost in sauce. Like we have to make sure what discernment is for each and every one of us, and that's part of what astrology does for us, is to keep us from getting lost in the sauce.
Yes. And we are entering like this period of crisis that will continue to heat up at least until February, because Saturn and Neptune are moving closer, and they're going to conjoin in like February 21st, I think.
Mm.
Um, and it's going to be at 0 degrees Aries. So like if there's any like cutoff for like then and the future, that feels like a really important one. And it seems like a lot of religions are pushing towards this the end.
Well, I mean,
You've got
this is where I shine, because um my entire early life, this goes back to aliens and everything else. My mother, I was homeschooled, like I mentioned at the very beginning. We would stay up all night long listening to Art Bell. And if you know anything about the 90s and Art Bell, you know this is where the big new, like some people say it was an MK Ultra thing. Um, but it is what it is. They were talking about time travel, they were talking about aliens, they were talking about dimensions. Area 30, is it Area 31?
51, I think.
51. Thank you. See, I'm totally like way out of the loop on the numbers there. See,
It's all good.
I'm thinking about Atlas 3I, which looks like a 31.
It does.
Brain fart. But you know what I'm saying? Like it was not really my bag as a child to be listening to that, because it was giving me panic attacks.
Oh, for sure.
And she would drag me as a Seventh-day Adventist to Bible prophecy meetings. So we were always talking about the end times. We were talking about the dragon. We were talking about Daniel and Ezekiel and all these prophetic Bible studies, and looking into the symbology and how everything goes. And so, of course, I'm going to grow up and be interested in astrology, where symbolism is heavy, and it feels like I'm looking at a map instead of hieroglyphs. It feels like I'm actually getting the math on some of the Bible prophecy that I grew up on. And it's like, oh, well, maybe my mind isn't full of bullshit. Maybe symbology and parable and this line of thinking, this esoteric thing isn't a waste of time. Maybe this is what the truth is. Maybe aliens and Nephilim and Anunnaki all have a common thread. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck?
I I actually I kind of got a bug up my ass, I think around Sagittarius season again, about aliens. So I like when I get a bug up my ass about anything, I do a deep dive. So I was getting into Nephilim, I was getting into like the Sumerian texts, like
I love that. Yeah.
Mesopotamian lore. And there is a lot of information out there, and there's a lot more coming out. There's like this aspect of awakening that is happening kind of on all levels for a lot of people right now. And some of it is false awakening, we got to
Yeah.
use our discernment, but a lot of it is old stories like coming back and old kind of, information that's been hidden for a long time, kind of breaking out
Yeah.
of containment. And
We don't
I
even have translation on all of those Sumerian documents. Like Irving Finkel, if you ever listen to him talk about the Sumerian like board games and cuneiform writing and everything, he's a Gemini. He's of course lays it out like it's nothing. But it's just endless how much correlation there is to this day and age and all the things that we're learning through Chat GPT now.
Well, yeah, and there's like the Nephilim being like, say that, let's just say, for sake of argument, that the Nephilim were aliens. Let's just go with that.
Sure, why not?
And they came down to Earth, and from a lot of the stories that I was hearing, they did some experimentation with some of the native Earth beings and spliced some of the, simian species that were on their way upright with some of the DNA from these other species. And that is where we got humans. That's like what a lot of the myth points to, is that humanity is to a certain extent an experiment.
This
And
is this is this is the timeline that I was doing scrubbing and studying today because it's the same subject. So it goes
God,
like this.
go ahead.
Ancient aliens or fallen angels, possibly. Then it's Nephilims. Okay, Nephilims were the son of man and Anak. All right, so Anak would be Anakim, mortal giants descended from Rephakim, watered down blood of hybrids. Okay, the hybrids
RH1.
of angels. Hybrids are the Nephilim, angels of and people. Titans could be angels or Anunnaki because these Titans slash angels slash Anunnaki are not hybrids. They are actual godhood. So Anakim would be mortal giants descended from Rephakim, and Rephakim are related to the Nephilim. So it's very interesting how it goes. But when it comes to Goliath, he was Anakim, which is
Hmm.
rooted from Rephilim, or what did I say? What's the word?
I,
Rephakim. So it's very interesting, and the height supposedly of Adam was even taller than Goliath. Adam, the first man, was supposedly between, according to Jewish tradition, 90 to 150 feet tall, and Goliath was only 9'9", but he supposedly had 24 toes and feet. I mean, toes and fingers and toes. So 24 being the symbol for basically fucked with DNA, or what did I write down?
24 and me.
Yeah. Anyway, I was on a total like wormhole this morning. I this because this thing has been playing on the back of my mind too. Also, they say like giants are living in stone, like there's still giants on Earth, but it's for example, like in Hawaii, they have a mountain that's shaped like a sleeping giant, and that giant is meant to reawaken. And there's many different hills that have like supposed dragons and this is and that, and then there's the giant hill in Wyoming that looks like a tree. And
Yes.
we talk about giants a lot, but it's never truly confirmed. But I feel like there's something to this when it comes to extraterrestrial DNA. I always have felt like this is all tied. And the Anunnaki being extraterrestrial and children of the Anu are something else entirely. And I do think that they influenced us. And I do think um, we are not so much having new discoveries as we are remembering.
I think that too. I think that there's certain things that resonate more. Um, I remember a story that I was listening to, and it was about the Anunnaki basically utilizing, basically, they sent people to get gold because gold was
Right.
necessary to protect their planet. It was, what was the planet called? It was like,
Was it Marduk?
maybe, I forget what the planet was called. Um, but anyway, they were sent here to collect gold, and they were like, we don't really want to collect gold. This is boring. So, and that's why humans were created to collect gold
Nibiru.
because
It's
it's
Nibiru.
Nibiru, yeah. Um, and that gold was sent back, you know.
Yeah.
And there was two beings. There was like, oh gosh, two beings, and this is like connected with what were their names? God damn.
I
Uh,
have my Google right here.
it was two beings, and they were sent to be kind of the lords of the earth, to lord it over
Oh,
the
it's
humans here.
Sumerian.
Yeah, this is Sumerian.
Okay,
And
Sumerian. I can't remember their names. Enki and Enlil, right?
Enki and Enlil, yeah. And this like became like there was a big problem. This is like what led up to the flood.
Yes. Rivalry.
Um, is the rivalry between these two, who was the actual ruler.
The
Um,
wise and the cunning god and the god of the fresh water.
yes. So, I mean,
Yes.
obviously, these are all just narratives, but there is something that's resonant with them. And there is this idea that some of this knowledge has been kept in secret societies over the course of time. And certain people have the ability to commune, you know,
Yes.
with these spirits. And in these secret societies, they've communed with these spirits. They know the date of the return of the masters, so to speak. But there's a lot of other threads that start coming into this, like that these beings aren't the only beings in the universe. Um, and that there's other beings that have realized what's been happening. And this connects with Pleiadian disclosure, with the Syrians, with reptilians. And all of this feels like we're coming to a culmination where we realize that this is not the first time that we've had interaction.
No.
And that in our soul, in our very DNA, we have encoded the memories of past epochs. And as we open ourselves up and we learn more of this language and we learn more of these stories and we learn what resonates, we become more aware of what our past was and also what our goal is. Because I feel like humans have a couple different ways we can go. You know, we are very special in the universe. Um, And I think that there is a lot of people that kind of want to disconnect us from our specialness.
Well, yeah, it
And
says in the Bible that we are gods. Ye are gods, and it's a whole chapter 82 in Psalms, right? It's in the smack dab middle of the Bible, but people want in like part of the rhetoric in organized religion is to deny our divinity.
yes, that
And
our
I
divinity
I
is,
can't rectify that in my mind, and that's one of the reasons why I've never gone back to church, even though I loved church. I fucking loved religion, and but it's part of the reason why I became a minister myself, and I do take it seriously. My content online is um, we can't give up the journey within, even though like we won't be recognized as God elsewhere. We have to figure out what it means for us, and not deny our godhood within. Otherwise, what are we doing on this planet as a steward?
Yes, and we're not being very good stewards, but a lot of that is
No.
based on the control systems that have been put in place by a lot of these secret societies.
Facts.
And that's just I feel like that's the reality of
We
it.
have so
And
much to cover in future episodes. I'm stoked already to make more, because I even want to talk about Rh negative blood and you know traits in people that make us different. And also, I believe that astrology in and of itself, sitting here between you and me as astrologers, we were given a gift from the Nephilim in that respect. We wouldn't have this math without them teaching us this shit.
yes, that was one of the keys to understanding. Part of it's unfortunately it's part of the control mechanism. This is why Saturn gets such a bad rap by a lot of people that are kind of uninformed about astrology, because Saturn represents the limits, right? It's
Right.
the
Naked eye,
the
yeah.
guardian of the gate of materiality to a certain extent. Um, so as long as we're in the material, there's certain rules that we have to follow, right?
That's the trouble with archons.
Yes, that is the
This,
trouble with
this
archons.
false physical life that we live. Yeah.
Well, see, that's even part of it. It's like the idea of ascending out of our bodies, I feel like is wrong too. I think
Right.
what we're supposed to be doing is actually bringing what's up and anchoring it into the earth. We're supposed to actually bring our
Yes.
bodies with us up to the next level. And that is like the thing that we get fucked up on, to be honest, because we get basically that the body is fallen, woman is fallen, the earth is fallen. These are things that are very deeply embedded into human consciousness. And I don't think they're true. And I think that they're kind of the core lie that has been holding us back in a lot of ways, you know?
So
Um,
original sin, let's talk about it.
okay, sounds good. So
So is
what
this
was the original sin? Like,
you
what do you
know,
think?
yeah, this is something I've thought about a lot, and I've been, refuted on this a few times, but I really feel like the quest for knowledge or the pursuit of knowledge is the true original sin.
Yes, because it's
And
getting above our station,
you
which is
know,
being the servants to who?
well, whichever god you choose to direct your attention to, depending on if you're Gnostic or not.
Yes,
It just really
which
depends on from where you're sitting, which God is God. But I truly love a lot of the Gnostic standpoints. So I'm not hating the idea that the biblical God is kind of a usurper type.
well, it's like, what if you arrogated yourself? What if you even thought you were? You know, what if you thought you were the end all? You had reached such a level of refinement and understanding that you thought you were it.
So you
And
mean if I think I'm Winton?
if nobody's going to understand that, but that's okay. But yeah, um,
You know, they'll laugh.
yes, that's true. That's true. But yeah, it's like, what if it's not your fault that you arrogated yourself, to a certain extent? Um, and what if you defined yourself as source, Because I think of like source as like is my go-to for understanding like creation to a certain extent. Like creation comes from source, you know? And you can humanize that or make it a person. And even if it is like, even if there is a persona that's associated with that, it feels like limiting, right?
Mm.
To what the highest level of reality. So if there is a most high, say that you were close to the most high, say that you were like pretty darn close to the most high, but you didn't have knowledge of the most high, and you
Well,
arrogated yourself as it. You know, like that is maybe the issue. It's like we want to build up our own like understanding that we're connected to it and that we have our own sovereignty, but it's also not a sovereignty that allows us to lord over others because each person
Right.
is sovereign, right? So it's an interesting it's interesting
It
block, I think, for a lot of people.
it's it goes back to love, okay? And this is my fucked up view of love. This is why the lovers card is the Adam and Eve trope in my
Hmm.
book. Um, you have to be separated in order to love. That's the whole Aristophanes thing. That's you can't have love with unity. They don't exist together because you disappear into the other. You merge. You
Yes.
become the singularity. You are the oneness. So in order to have love, one must have the other. You can't all be you. So in order to have love and have that definition of that, then you have to have separation, and therefore you can't um you have to have creation at that point.
You do. I
So
mean, and
if it's all you, then that's the singularity. Therefore, it's all a palindrome. It is all you. That's what this
solipsism, I think.
solipsism. Yeah, like I'm terrible
It's all
at
good.
Greek. But it's that everything comes from the mind. You are the originator of creation itself. So awareness is a funny thing. You know,
It is.
it's kind of a round table talk, but I do think what is your opinion of original sin, or do you pretty much agree with me?
Well, so it kind of goes back to in the beginning was the
The word.
word, right?
Yeah.
And the word was God, right? Like that's it is. So to have consciousness, like to have a singular point of consciousness it's like what you said, it creates duality. Like what was original sin? The original sin was stepping away from unity to duality. And once you
Mm-hmm.
have duality, you can actually experience more, you can experience the a perspective, a limited by necessity perspective, but that's the only way that the universe can. It's like through the conflict of unitary
Yes.
perspectives that the universe is completed.
That's
It's
why
like
Pisces is Pisces. It has to be there's unification, but also a separation and a dissolve. So you do have this sense of singularity and oneness and unity with Pisces, but it's also falling apart at the same time. It's
yes.
it's holding on to sand at the beach underwater and trying to keep a fistful.
Yes,
It
and
doesn't work.
it's that desire for escape from the thing that you were meant to do that is the
Mm,
big trap for Pisces, right? It's like Pisces kind of has that desire to ascend because they remember the veil is thinner for them.
so
So they
yeah,
remember
so
the unitive state more and they want to go back to it, but
would
they
it
don't.
be bypassing then the original sin in this case, like bypassing humanity?
Yes, but bypassing the lessons that you're supposed to learn here, right? And this is why it's such a
Mm.
frustrating thing to be a Pisces because they understand what they're trying to get back to, and that they, in some sense, they understand that they never lost it, And I think that's when they reach their point.
It
Is that they
reminds me
never.
of Ram Dass, where he was saying, take the human curriculum.
Yeah, you gotta accept it. I mean, we're
Yeah.
here, right? We're in a physical body, like we are experiencing it, like at some point you got to be like, well, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. And you got to jump into it and like accept the
Yeah.
body, accept the limitations. You can keep trying to learn, you can keep trying to pull in more information, and become more permeable, maybe to the eternal in this human experience.
It's so
But
funny how all of this leads to tenderness and permeability and presence.
yeah, I mean, that's been something that I've been thinking about a lot lately is because as a heavy Scorpio, one of the biggest issues with being any kind of fixed sign, but Scorpio maybe especially, is the ability to let go is very difficult, you know?
That's
Um,
a discipline.
it's control. Yeah, there's a control aspect to it. You want to control the experience and control your emotional reaction to the experience at the same
Oh,
time.
I relate so bad with the Mars opposite Pluto. Ugh,
Yeah. Um,
yeah.
so my practice, and it's not necessarily going to be my practice forever because I do switch a little bit, but my practice has been to, when I'm laying down to go to sleep, like really trying to be in awareness without controlling the awareness and
That's such a good
letting go.
discipline.
And it's so difficult. But it's been interesting too. It's like I've been led to do it, so I'm trying it. And I've had experiences in my life where I have been able to successfully let go, and some of them were, chemically aided. Um,
Woo!
I'm not
Thank you,
perfect.
Pisces placements.
Yes, I do have South
I've
Node
been
in
there myself,
Pisces.
so maybe we should have an episode talking about that at some point and make it a paid episode.
Well, I'll get into that for just a second, like how that worked in my personal experience.
Yeah.
Is I was able, because I have South Node in Pisces, I was able to utilize that to kind of let go, and because I had this desire for ascension, right? And that's my South Node, so it's like shit that I've already done. Uh, if that makes any sense, and it's in my 12th
Yeah.
house,
I
so
mean,
it's
mine's
shit that I've,
Scorpio. So, I mean, you understand how that is. It's Scorpio 6. So
yeah.
it
So
it just I
what
understand. Keep going. No, you go.
my North Node is Virgo. So what I learned through that
Yep.
process was that I'm supposed to be embodied. I'm supposed to be embodied.
Yeah.
I can't try to escape from my body anymore. What I need to do is learn how to live
I
in
love
it
that.
and be useful to the world, right? And be useful to myself, and like cultivate good habits and cultivate like a sense of wonder even while in the body instead of trying to escape it. And that's like the
Relatable.
big North Node lessons that I've had to learn, and South Node lessons, which are always going to be opposite in your chart. And that's sixth house, 12th house for me. So it's like,
Same. So, but it's just opposite. I have 12th house North Node, 6th house South Node, but my South Node's Scorpio. So I have all this daily routine and stuff to acknowledge. My Saturn's in Scorpio in the 6th. My Pluto is in Scorpio as well, but it's technically Placidus 5th. But when it comes to routine and physical awareness and building, there's a certain degree of that I had to rediscover just to let it go because my North Node is in Taurus and there's building up there, but it's more towards spirituality. It's more towards
yes,
mental, spiritual hygiene. It's more towards ritual. It's more towards feeling and, like you said, letting go in a, in its own way. So that's a weird dichotomy. All my earth is water, so it's
yeah,
very tricky in terms of making things make sense to other people, which I quit trying to do, and it seems to work.
I
I
had,
totally get that aspect of the North Node being in the surface axis. It's tricky.
yes, it is pretty tricky, but it also like having the South Node in Pisces, it's like there's a certain amount of faith in the universe too, because I realize
Yeah.
like I'm here for a reason. Um, it's not like this life isn't necessarily about attainment for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not about attaining, it's about being useful while I'm here. I'm not trying to ascend anymore. I'm not trying to get out anymore. I'm trying to drop in
Integrate.
and
Yeah.
integrate. Yeah. And once I kind of learned that through my chart and through my experiences, things became a little bit easier um, for
I
me
love that.
um, to deal with. I guess is the best way I can put
To
it.
a degree, I feel like I'm still learning what my 12th house North Node really means in Taurus because
I think it's embodiment. It's partially embodiment. It's
it's
spiritual embodiment.
it's Yeah, it's some of that, but it's also in my body itself because pre-Saturn return, I was an expert at disassociation, trauma style. You know, I did have a lot of abuse and stuff to get through mentally, spiritually, and I was not living in my body. I was living from the neck up. Everything was up there. I did not have any body awareness, I would say, like real terrible physical body awareness of myself until 31, 32. And I feel like my life finally started. Like I almost feel like I had a step in experience. It wasn't quite that dramatic, but you know, I feel like I had definitely act one and act two to my life when it really did hit Saturn return. And I realized how spiritual working out is, and how, because I have Mars loosely conjunct my North Node as well. So I really needed to get into action and movement and momentum in order to experience the spirituality of suspension and what is the word, submission.
Yes.
It's a very strange crisscross because to me, everybody else looking at me, you know, looks at me and sees somebody dedicated going to the gym, and she's, you know, God knows what, she's feisty and spiritual and she doesn't fit in a normal mold. I don't know what people think, but one of the big things is people see a weight in my hand when they think about me, or muscle girl or whatever. At least that's, you know, my perception of what people think. And they don't understand how much it makes my sanity click. It makes me a better spiritual person. You might as well give me rosary beads instead of a dumbbell. You know, it's
Yes.
basically the same thing for me, and it's really hard to describe that for people. But that is part of my me thing when it comes to being an Aries, is using that Mars energy, even though it's in fall in Taurus. It's a very feminine Mars in the 12th. It's very detrimented. It's very backwards and lack of assertion, and it's very passive aggressive when you know push comes to shove. I've had to do a lot of dedication to growing to be so upfront and you know blunt with life and assertive. But that's, I think, part of this whole 12th house North Node journey, and embodying things is a lot trickier. There's a little bit more steps, and it doesn't look linear. You have to go sideways. Okay, so if I want to be a good spiritual leader, if I want to have, I have to start with me. I have to make sure I'm going to the gym, I'm working out, I'm moving my body. Otherwise, I'm useless for you.
That makes
Or,
sense.
you know, so what it looks like I'm being selfish and flexing in the mirror, but I'm doing it for you.
I'm doing it for all of you.
You
This
don't
is
even
for
know.
you. This is
You have
for
no
you.
idea. It's a gift to God and man.
That makes a ton of sense. I feel like just to kind of piggyback off that a little bit,
Yeah, please
um,
do.
there was a time when I was in living in Portland, and I was biking everywhere, and I got to like this really good physical period in my life, and energy flow was just crazily
Yeah,
easier for me. But it
yeah,
was also like kind of Kundalini awakening, and there was problems
of
that were
course.
associated with it too.
Oh my God,
For
is it
me,
there? We should
um,
talk about that. We should talk about Kundalini awakenings and shit because people don't understand how that wrecks your life and they want it so bad.
oh, for sure, people wish for it, and then they get it, and they're like, "Fuck."
Okay, buddy. Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Like the notification from the universe. Are you sure you want to have your Kundalini awakening?
It was cool. The best thing about it was I learned to um, radiate energy during
Yeah,
that
yeah.
period. Um, and there was like several things where I'd be like, we did full moon ceremonies at that point in my life, and we would do like circle hugs where everybody would kind of get around in a circle and hug, and the energy flow that I could initiate it at that point because the flow was really good in me. Um, and that was like it was the a blessing and a problem. I think it
Huh.
was helpful for a lot of people, but it also like um, it kicked things into motion that were not necessarily super helpful for my life. at
So
that point.
are you saying you were in a cult leader? Is that what you're saying?
No, 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 no.
Never, never, no.
We did a just a full moon ceremony every month. It was like not a big deal. Did it for 4 years. That was pretty cool. Um, and what it did was like it did teach me like how to connect on a energetic level with people. Um, and it taught me how to run energy a little bit better.
It
Um,
can get messy. It really
but it
can.
it got pretty messy, so I like didn't like the messiness of it because I have Saturn and Virgo, and I'm like,
Mm,
there is a certain amount of like purity that I've got to maintain, and
yeah.
my Scorpio planets don't necessarily agree with that all the time, um, and that's all
Are
I'm
you
going to say
saying your
about that.
Scorpio planets are slutty?
Yes, yes, I am
That's
saying
very
that.
common. That's very common.
Um, but ultimately it's not good for me. It's like what I'm trying to say. It's like
Well, yeah,
giving.
I mean, that's part of my stellium of Scorpio in this basically the sixth house. It's, that's why I've been celibate for almost 7 years, and February will be my seventh year. There's a lot of like, to be frank, sexual trauma that has happened to precede that. And yet it's a matter of healing and letting muddy water clear. And that's how severe it was. It needed that. So when it comes to Scorpio, I absolutely get how how it can be.
Yes, it's transformative and not always for the good.
Yeah,
Sometimes it transforms you in a slightly more negative way.
no,
um
when the last time this is part of it, is like I have such Plutonian aspects to my Mars that, like, the last person I actually slept with wound up going to jail. And I realized that my sexual energy being unhealed is actually going to cause more damage to other people if I was going to be slutty than if I were to be celibate. I realized my energy is going to fuck with people real bad unless they are on the same journey I'm on. So
yes,
I decided to be responsible with it instead.
I'm also on the responsibility tip
Fuck yeah.
when it comes to that. uh but there's also like healing that's associated with that for me. I went through like pretty abusive chapters in my early life, and I feel like people that kind of got through that and healed, it's always like a lifelong journey that you always
Yeah,
go through uh cycles. I feel like it's like a spiral, and
it
each
is.
time you learn like a new thing and you integrate a little bit more of your shadow when you're going up the spiral, and you get a little bit more gold from integrating it. Like that is the interesting thing about shadow work is with a lot of Scorpio placements, you don't really have a choice. You
No.
can like you can become a really, I guess you kind of have a choice in that you can just live in hell, but
This is
I don't.
fine.
Yeah, it's like the "this is fine" meme, right? Um, but if you don't want to live in hell, you kind of have to do it, And yeah, I used a lot of the trauma that I experienced when I was young for growth, and it took a long time to get through it. But once I was through it, like it was a amazing transformative experience for me. And we can get deeper into that in some
Yeah,
future
we have
episode.
so many episodes that we could splinter off of this. But as far as I don't know, I'm assuming it's about an hour long. We want to wrap this up, but um, what I would say, as far as shadow work is concerned, what do you wish you could say to people, and on a general basis about it, that you don't get a chance to say? Like, if you were to be able to get in the psyche of all 20,000 people in the group, for example, or deeply affect anybody who might be listening to this about shadow work, what would be either your top 3 points or your main goal, or that you wish everybody could just switch it on and understand about it? Like, that's hopefully that's a clear enough question.
I'd say kind of first, there's a physical dimension to it. Like your triggers are they're like the trash fires on the way to truth. It's like the
Mm,
things that trigger you, they're going to cause a physical reaction. You're going to have cortisol, which like kind of gets you into fight or flight mode. It gets you into that wound. Like that is when you're in it.
yep,
And when you're in that physical state, it's pretty difficult, but it's imperative to sit with it and try to like, it's almost like you're trying to dive down through that into like where it's coming from. Because you're going to find sometimes
right.
that it's coming from an almost unconscious place. Like it's like usually coming from an unconscious place. It's like some pattern that you learned when you maybe didn't even have language to explain it. And
Word.
the key is going,
Mm,
not being afraid of it, like it's gonna suck. Like this is like the reality of shadow work. It's painful. Like it's okay for it to be painful. There's something to be said about going into the pain, because the only way that you have to reveal where it comes from,
yeah,
and then you have to feel it. You have to feel what you didn't allow yourself to feel at that time, because that is like where
that's
it
the
comes
tricky
from.
part for me. I'm
Yeah, you
I'm
got
moon opposite Saturn,
it. So it's hard. Yeah, I
and
mean,
it's Gemini Scorpio.
well, yeah, I mean, there's also, yeah, that makes it hard. It makes it easier probably for you to you try to examine the feeling
I have
with the
to
moon
have
and Gemini.
um, I have things that I can't get over because I don't understand it. I don't have if I don't have a vocabulary for it, I'm not able to talk about it and I can't move the energy.
That makes sense. And I
It
think that
it's really and I don't cry very much for a woman or just in general as a human being. I can cry maybe once or twice a year and I don't like that. I wish it was more
I
just
utilize
on a detox level.
I utilize music and like kids
Yeah.
movies for crying. They work really well for me. You should watch what is it called? It's like K-pop Demon Hunters. It's like
Oh
a
my
kids
God.
movie, and it sounds like a crazy thing, but I bet if you sit and watch that movie, that you will cry and you will recognize aspects of yourself that are unhealed, because it's like you reveal it, you feel it, and you heal it, right? Like that's
You
the
know what? You're
the
gonna have to
energy.
send me the title of that thing. It's a dare I'm willing to. I'll report back for the next podcast episode. Did I cry?
K-pop
I I
Demon Hunters.
I have a hard time. I'm gonna write this down in my notes. Like I have a hard time being triggered by anything. There was this
Um,
one podcast. Was it a podcast? It was a Q&A from Mami Onami that I was listening to recently, reflecting back on what you were saying about shadow work and going into it and feeling the source of the trigger, right? She was doing a um process, basically a live demo of her process of helping people kill the pain, psychological pain. She's a very interesting teacher, very much my vibe. She used to be in a cult and growing up, so she knows hard life and like she's children of God survivor. But so moving on, she was, one of her main things is in the process she asked somebody when the first time they felt that way was, and one of the questions that she asked was, when's the first time that you felt like somebody got something that you weren't allowed to have, or you saw somebody get something and you felt like it was for them and not for you, like something good and it was for them and not for you ever. And that question, I had to sit on that for like 2 weeks to really wind it back because I've always had that feeling. I don't ever remember a time when I felt like I wasn't treated like a second class citizen in my family. So it took me a really long time to figure it out. And I was in diapers the first time I felt that feeling of that this is for them, not for you. And that was with my sister. So um it just these questions, you know, you are. I was thinking about it and going back to these root things and doing the
Um,
shadow work.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I have a delivery that just came.
Yeah.
So we might have to can we pause for a second? Is that okay with
Yeah.
you? Okay, I'll be
Yeah.
back after I
Go for it.
finish this delivery.
Okay. Recording this thing back again, so got the delivery handled. So as I was saying, the childhood experience of going back to triggers and doing shadow work from there. So it can take going early memory, and it filters through my relationships now because um, you know, you start to expect um, being set back and being treated like a second class citizen because you're used to it as an infant. And I realized how big our feelings are as babies. Like my emotional palette of colors, I have the same emotional palette of colors that I did when I was in diapers. I just happen to remember what it was like being that small. Not everybody does. I don't know why I do, but I do. I remember, you know, being swaddled up in my bassinet and, you know, wishing I was in earshot of people. You know, like I remember
Yes.
being far away from everybody else in the house, and you know, I remember seeing other babies having a bassinet in their mom and dad's room, and I remember thinking like, I'm in the sewing room. Like, why? That's so weird that they're sleeping with the baby. Like, I remember feeling all of that separation and needing to feel like I was performing for attention. So all of these things lead into not just my relationships with people, but my relationships to work and money and my value and the choices that I make on a daily basis. So when it comes to shadow work, I was listening to Mami Onami talk about the process and asking, you know, when's the first time you felt that? And that's like exactly what you were saying as a shadow work process and wanting to tell that to people um, as far as advice or something you wanted to get through their heads is that process. And I just wanted to reiterate that that's my whole point. That's, you know, ABCD. I had to tell it the long Gemini way, but I fucking agree with that because that was probably one of the last times that I actually sprung a tear, was going all the way back and realizing that my emotional palette was exactly the same now as it is then, only I didn't have the other capabilities of the brain to reason or to have, you know, agency in other ways of communication and this and that. That's the only thing children are really missing is the physical ability to deal with things and the mental capacity to really reason what these feelings are. So it's, you have to go back to the source of the beginning of your trigger. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself circling the same subjects your entire life. And that's one of the reasons why I love astrology shit posting, all the variations of it, because it there's not that many venues where you can simultaneously show your chart, show the math of who you are, talk about your childhood wounds immediately within the first conversation. Also, sort of praise the good qualities of what you have going on in your chart, and really start to understand how special certain things about you really are, all at the same time as doing this shadow work. So it is an all-encompassing journey to be able to, you know, provide the conditions for it to happen. And that's one of the things that I love being a part of, is not only just doing my work as a minister, as a spiritual coach, as a, you know, as a tarot reader, all the things people pay to talk to me for, but also to enjoy doing this in my free time too. So I appreciate the environment that you've created, and I love having these conversations. So I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I accept your appreciation, and I also
I
appreciate
deserve
you,
the
of
praise.
course.
Yes.
Um, I, I mean, It's actually something that I've been trying to do more because I used to always
Good job.
shy away from when people would
Yeah.
praise me. Um, and it's partially connected to, so my biggest shadow work that I've done in my life so far,
Yes, I love that.
I
Please
I will
share.
get into that really quick if we got the time for this probably.
Ye-
Um,
it's all getting uploaded. I'm not planning on editing anything, really.
okay,
Let's just let's just hammer it out. Let's go.
let's go. So the biggest thing that I had to deal with, I was adopted, and I was adopted as an infant. So when I was first
Yeah.
born, I was taken away from my mother.
Aw.
Um, and I was kind of kept institutionally for 3 months before my adoptive parents came and picked me up. So my first
That's big.
part of my life, I was kind of raised by an institution. I was raised by people that didn't really have an emotional connection to me, and I was felt this huge sense of separation. And I didn't realize that until much later in my life. And I knew that I was adopted. I knew that there was something around there, and I always kind of wanted to know who I came from. And in my nodal return, which happened in 2016, right around this time of year, actually, September of 2016, I reconnected with my mom, with my birth mom. And
Hmm.
her core wound was giving me up because she was young.
Yeah.
Um, and through that reconnection, we both basically did like a ton of healing of those core wounds. And the last part of that was actually that, well, not the last part. I don't, there's probably still more, but I feel really good about it now. The last big issue that I had where I was like processing it was actually this last Scorpio season. And I released it to a certain extent in a song about that abandonment trauma and about like what, how I nursed that for so long and
Yeah.
how that kept me like internalized and like, like Scorpio, if they can't find joy, they just nurse pain.
Well,
Um,
yeah, because it feels real.
yeah. Um, so yeah, that was like a big process for me. And it took about almost 10 years probably to get through the whole thing. So that is another important thing. We were talking about important things to know about shadow work. It's not over.
No,
You know, it's not a quick fix. It's like an
it is a
ongoing
spiral. You
process.
spiral up, and you. It's like, I always look at it like stairs. If you have a spiral stairs, if you're lucky, you're going to have a landing every now and then to sort of like give yourself an extra breath. And that's where you have your checkpoints and your self-analysis and your life traumas and happenings happen and is on those landings, and then you just continue to spiral up. It does sometimes feel like you take another flight down and spiral down occasionally, but even that I think is part of the journey, for especially for people like a manifesting generator or a lion 3
Yeah.
human design. But
Uh,
it's
I
part
forget.
of part of it. The failures are just as important.
It is. And I guess the third thing is like you can get stuck in shadow work too, like where it's like kind of like spiritual bypass
That's
in
real. Let's
reverse
talk about that. Let's talk about the addiction to
trauma. I mean, it's
picking
like,
scabs and being the saddest in the room.
yes, that is like, how some people are like love and light only, and
Yeah,
they just pretend that nothing else exists besides love and light. Some
fucking
people like
toxic.
get caught. It's totally toxic, and it's very prevalent actually in the spiritual community. This is one of the reasons why I framed my group as a shitposting group because I wanted to minimize that because it isn't love and light only, right? Like anybody that tries to front like that in the group is going to be, they're going to have a hard time. Um, but
Yeah.
there's also like you kind of you bypass integration either by focusing on love and light, or you bypass it by focusing on your darkness, right? And
Your
you start,
limitations, yeah.
you, or you can over identify with it and be like, I am evil, like, I'm just going to step into my evil, blah, blah, blah. It's like that kind of shit. And you see that, in the group sometimes where people like,
I mean, there's a time for everything.
well,
Everybody needs a little variety, but like you can't get stuck in one mode and typecast yourself and make it become your identity and get
yeah,
anywhere.
I love my villain arcs. I enjoy them. I think I'm about to enter another one. So Mars is about to go into Scorpio. That is always a fun time for me. Um, and I play with my villain arcs a little bit more. And because I have kind of a stage that I built, I kind of know how to play with them without getting too over identified with them. And I don't really care that much how other people project on me.
Fuck them.
Um, Fuck them. Yeah, that's exactly right. So
It's
it's like,
Aries, you know? Fuck them.
but like there has been times in my life where I've over focused on my trauma where I wasn't ready to integrate it, and I just kind of got lost in it. So it's like, and that's like where you can end up
Yeah.
drawing in kind of hellish experiences into your life, um, without any light at the end of the tunnel, because you're not ready. Sometimes like some traumas are so hard that like when they come up you just can't fucking deal with them. Like it's okay to be like, this one's too big for me right now. I'm not ready for
Yeah.
it. And to be able to be like, okay, well, I'm not ready to deal with this yet. So I'm going to use my psychological defense mechanisms to deal with it. I'm going to project this onto Winton, or I'm going to project this onto women, or I'm going to project this
Or I'm
onto,
I'm just gonna go drink about it,
or I'm just
depending on
going to,
whatever your thing is.
I'm going to black out. I'm a blackout, like that is sometimes how you deal with it. And it's okay. It's a process, So I guess
It's
that's my,
part of being human. Like it has to be messy.
it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and it's okay that it's messy, and it's okay to realize that you're not ready, and it's okay that it's a process. It's
It's
okay to
hell.
like,
It's way better that you realize something like that. Like admit things to yourself and live in your truth than like the bypassing thing and just be in denial and constantly dip, duck, dodge any sort of culpability or self-awareness. Fuck that.
yeah, I think that that is an issue in general with society. It's like, in order to move towards sovereignty, you've kind of got to own all parts of yourself, the parts of
It scares
yourself.
people.
It does, and it scares people to see other people do it. But that's the only,
Yes.
that's um that's the only way to fucking get through it. You've got to be sovereign. Like ultimately, well, you don't have to, but it's gonna suck
It
a
sure
lot more for
helps.
you.
It's
It's
hard
gonna
to
suck.
do it from the inside. If you're
Yes,
not sovereign, it's very hard to do it from the inside.
yes, and you got to own your shit. And like,
Yeah.
it's like what Mitt Romney was like big into, an ownership society. I think we need to get more into an own your shit society. And I feel like if we get into that, um, we can deal with it, because
I
there
love
is
that.
power in victimhood in our society. There's power in being a victim, but it's a false power, you know, because to maintain it, you've got to maintain that victimhood. Like, and I'm not
Right.
saying, and that's not good for you. To be fucking
Well,
completely
yeah.
honest, it's not good for your own development. It's not good for like your own autonomy. It's not good for, for your own path. And
It's honestly a lot of our just sitting around in the astrology group unpacking our childhoods. It seems like there's a lot of us that were raised by histrionic personality types or bipolars or
BPD.
many different kinds of disorders, borderline whatever, like yeah, and then there's the masculine, like more narcissistic type people that we were raised with, and the society itself is just very unhealthy. So
Yes.
how are we supposed to all of a sudden sit here and be all knowing about our own emotions? Nobody's going to have that one done to begin with. So I would say Yeah, if I had one word about shadow work in general to try to get through people's heads is when you sit with it, it hurts, but feeling good doesn't mean you're doing the right thing always. You
Yeah.
know, there's an ugliness to this, and the ugliness is not going to kill you. Um, it's I would say it's if I could, I don't know, try to make it more concise than that.
There's a meme that
I would
actually
say,
supports that. If you don't mind me jumping in for a
yeah,
second,
go for it.
it's like these two people and they're sitting across from each other at a table, and one of the people is labeled comfort and the other person is labeled change, and it says, "I just don't think this is going to work out." It's like you cannot, your highest ideal cannot be comfort in this life
No,
if you want to attain anything worthwhile. If your
yeah,
highest, um, and that is, I think that's just a reality. And I feel like that is kind of the Taurus Scorpio polarity a little bit. It's like
no, for sure.
Taurus aims for comfort, you know, they want to feel psychologically, physically
Convenience.
comfort. And Scorpio does not as much, you know, it's like it aims for change, even when that change is for the worse sometimes.
Mm,
And you got to be okay with comfort, like as it comes. But like if your comfort is keeping you from growing or changing when you need to, it's a trap, you know. And there's so many traps out there. Uh, but the more
but
that
yeah,
we're aware of it, the
definitely
less we
part of
get caught.
being addicted to misery and victimhood is definitely all part of that too. It's why we have Karens
Yes.
and all
God.
the whole culture of um just I don't want to say it, but it reminds me of Tumblr, you know,
Yeah.
like those just emo forever people. And I'm not saying like the emo folks are, I'm trying to figure out a way to say it without sounding super offensive.
Well, let's be honest. Tumblr was almost all pre-Saturn return people anyway, right? So they had,
Yeah,
you know, so it's like when you're young, you're kind of have an excuse for like blaming everyone else. Up until your Saturn return, you kind of have an excuse because you still are kind of a product of your upbringing, right? And your
there's a lot of
society.
influence that your parents still have, or you know, institutions, depending on
Yeah.
what your, you know, schools, whatever is affecting your life. Yeah,
But it's like after your Saturn return, you don't really have an excuse. You don't get to blame it on
no,
other people anymore. And if you are still after your Saturn return, you know, you got work to do and you should get to it, is my sense, you know?
like
Um,
how did you survive your Saturn return without it? What the fuck?
I,
Like
I
mine
don't
was
know.
so hard. Like I wound up getting divorced during my Saturn return. It was
Mm.
his too. We were both born the same year. But it's just we got married in Scorpio season, and it's just a scorpionic, and then our Saturn is in Scorpio too. We didn't know anything about astrology when we got married. Nothing, but I sure do see it now. That's what see. I love transits for hindsight, honestly. I don't like looking at transits ahead of time anymore. I used to, but I've kind of developed this sense of curiosity with astrology that's combined with boredom,
Yeah.
and it's the same conversation over and over again. Oh, we have a big event, blah 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 blah, and it's like, okay,
A
that's
portal.
relative. Who
There's a
gives a shit?
portal.
Like, let the people have their portals. I don't need to play along. They don't usually mathematically make sense anyway, but
No.
whatever. I do believe belief is strong. It's a placebo thing. If you believe it's a powerful day, then run with it, sweetheart. It's just, I feel like something else in spirituality that I wish I could shove down people's throats a lot is it's very Tyler Durden spirituality. What you own ends up owning you. You don't need the crystals. I love you, but you don't need the crystals. You don't need the noise, you know, clearing with noise. You don't need, you know, I technically I probably don't need the tarot cards. I just like them.
Yeah.
We have these gifts and we have these abilities to translate energy and send things through space and time through quantum entanglement. We have spiritual alignment. Like you said, humans are powerful entities, and we just farm that out a lot because we haven't wanted to learn our abilities with telekinesis or time travel or remote viewing or whatever our things are. We've been dumbed down with the fluoride in the water, or the school system curriculum, or just being too afraid of what the other person's thinking to actually venture it into who we truly are. And we wind up resenting other people for doing it. And it's
Well,
so crazy.
it is crazy, and we've been dumbed down on purpose in many ways,
Yeah.
and the in most ways, I would say. And the key thing is like sovereignty is about breaking the programming that's been put on you. It's about opening up to truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Um, and that is a path that a lot of people are on. I've noticed more people awakening and saying the ugly thing that's true, even if they know that they're gonna probably lose friends for it or what have you. Um, and I
Well,
think that
yeah,
that is a beautiful, positive
I put
development.
that on Pluto. Honestly, I've been saying on threads since Pluto was still in Capricorn, I've been saying Pluto in Aquarius is going to bring the first shall be last and the last shall be first. It's a Bible verse in Revelation. And what I mean by that is the folks that have been marginalized for their authenticity, the autistics, the um, sub, sub the people that have been pushed aside because of perfection or being on the outskirts of society or being too creative, don't color in the lines, but they have something to offer. The musicians, the self-published authors, the truly creative people that have been pushed aside, the people in power are going to start falling, well, crumbling like bad. So when I'm seeing the news and I'm seeing nations being in chaos, I'm seeing our own political folks losing their minds in office, like literally all the time. It to me, it's just part of this. It, things becoming correct. It's a rebalancing process that Aquarius is just going to be doing. Our definitions of humanity are changing,
Yes.
and it
And
it doesn't seem
quickly,
scary to me.
oh, it's not, it's like,
You know,
I mean, there's parts
uh,
of it that I'm like, oh shit. There is definitely parts where I'm like, well, I don't want like things like a race war in the US, for example, but there's certain like developments that like lean that way. And I'm like, ugh, I'd really rather not
anything
see
is
that.
possible. No,
Right?
no, but I'm not saying I am not pro war. I'm not pro fighting. I would really rather us be like trying to figure out a society that can love itself and be more unified, if that's even possible, because those two things are antithesis to each other. But I would like to see us appreciating our differences better, of course,
Yes.
and celebrating it and finding a way to work with it and having more benefits to society, but at the same time more freedom. I would love all these things, but this is part of us readjusting and finding out how to work as a globe.
Well, I feel like there are also just this Neptune and Pisces delusions that
Yeah,
we've believed in, like that,
just like
it's
our
all
our
just a rainbow coalition. Everybody can just get along all the time.
well, that's
It's
that
like,
spiritual bypassing we were talking about, and the
yeah,
shadow work. The whole globe needs to do the shadow work because we've been stuck in our previous programming.
yes.
It's
And
just like growing up.
I guess this is growing.
Yeah, for real.
um, well,
But
I'm
I
feeling like
don't know.
we've gotten through a good amount of stuff today. I feel like
Yeah,
we
we can end
are
it.
at a good stopping point, but
Sounds good to me.
I want to thank you for this idea and moving forward with it. And
Fuck yeah.
if
It's
you
been
need any
great.
help putting it together so that we can post it on Substack, let me know. Otherwise, just make
Okay.
sure to tag me in it so I can share it. And
All right. Do you want to plug anything before I go?
Yeah, if you want to, and you're on Facebook, come to Mutual Reception Astrology. Follow me there, or on Substack. Follow my Substack, and if you feel like doing some kind of structured shadow work, come to Astrology Ship Posting Only.
Fuck
And
yeah.
you can lurk. Most people lurk for at least a couple months before they post. That's normal. But it's pretty fun and it's funny a lot of the time. And you get to watch crash outs. So come have fun in the intersection with us.
It's a win-win. I gotta say, I've been a part of these groups, these ASO groups for since 2017-ish, maybe before that. I feel like it's been longer. I don't know for sure though. um, but it's always been worth it. And as far as anything that I have to plug, I have 2 ebooks that are on my Stan store. I have links on my Facebook and Instagram. I am Suigenerisregenerate everywhere except for my Facebook. That's my own name. My personal you'll be interacting with me as Katie Shasky on Facebook through ASO. But I love doing what I do. I love doing one-on-one work and group work. I do live readings for the moon lunations, for full moons and new moons in ASO, and you're welcome to come join me. This is the cheapest way to work with me. Otherwise, we can do private readings one-on-one. I also have an option where you can just talk to me for half an hour for $88 and have an open free form conversation and use any and all of my gifts and resources in my mind for whatever you have in mind. Maybe you just need me to listen and you wanted somebody like me to talk to. So I have a little bit of everything on my menu. So one of my books, The 7 Fighting Rules, will be $8.88 on September 12th. So right now it's free. So get in while you can. And that's pretty much all I have to say. I hope you guys join us for the next episode of Me versus We with Michael Schultz and Katie Shasky. It's been a really fun conversation. Not a drop of time wasted.
For sure. This was a real pleasure. And I look
Yeah,
forward to talking with you again
dope
in
as
this
fuck.
kind of formalized structure. It's great.
Yeah, feels good. All right. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy. Thank you for spending your time with us, and more to come.
For sure. Goodbye.